Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today on our Total Wellness Tuesday episode 2244. So if you're looking for the 3 big takeaways or the show notes that we leave every single day with all the pertinent links and research, you can find that at stephencabral.com/2244 for today's podcast. So what I want to go over here today is really the understanding that every day in our lives, we want to be doing a little bit for our overall health. We don't need to go wild. We don't need to go wild with our exercise or our nutrition or our fasting or whatever it might be. It's actually, that is contrary to living in good health. And it's also unsustainable for most people. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to do an exercise every day, I'm going to sauna every day, I'm going to do a cold plunge every day, I'm going to fast for 20 hours every day, you're not going to maintain that in the long run. And also, sure, maybe in the short term, because of all the stress hormones you're producing and adrenaline, norepinephrine, you might feel great. But the issue is in the long run, not only is it not sustainable, even if you could do it through willpower alone, you're going to become more catabolic. You're going to be breaking down more than you're building up because of the large amount of hermetic stressors placed on your body. But that's neither here nor there for today's show. We've done podcasts on that. And why don't I do this? At 2244, I will link up a show on hermetic stressors if you've never heard about that before. And we have new shows essentially every single week on intermittent fasting. This week might be the only exception to that, but nevertheless, we'll be talking about that on tomorrow's show as well when we talk about PCOS and all sorts of different factors that help improve PCOS and make it a thing of the past. But today what I want to do is along the lines of, you want to be doing sprints for your health. So think of a sprint for your health or all the things that I just spoke about. So for example, if you have mercury amalgams removed from your teeth, then you'll want to do, 3 weeks or so of infrared saunas, and you want to start a detox-based protocol. You want to do a heavy metal detox, 100%. Like that's a sprint for a short period of time. If you're doing a 21-day functional medicine detox, okay, 21 days functional medicine detox. If you are doing the mold protocol, you're doing that. The Parapro support protocol, you're doing that. What I want to share with you today, though, is what do you do on a daily basis? And on a daily basis, what you want to do is you want to continue to support your liver. And the reason why you want to support your liver, which if you're watching this on video, and hopefully you are, you've got your liver right here. It's underneath the right side of your rib cage. Along with that liver, you also have your gallbladder. Now, the liver is going to allow that bile to flow, and the bile, with all of those different bile ducts, flows directly into the intestines. So if it flows directly in the intestines, we have to say to ourselves, what's the importance of this? Why does it matter if the bile from your liver is flowing into your intestines on a daily basis? And probably more so than that, what goes wrong if that's not happening, which we call either liver congestion or bile sludge is just a nice layman's term. But the reason why I like bile sludge is because it does. Bile can become thicker. That's scientifically validated. And the thicker it becomes, the less bile flows. Well, the problem is bile is protective for your body in essentially 2 different ways. The first one is when your liver detoxes all of the different toxins from the environment and internal, and if you need a little refresher on that, external environments, well, there's over now 140,000 of them in the US alone, and they could be petrochemicals, they might be pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, they might be aluminum, mercury, lead, it could be mold. It could be all sorts of different toxins from the environment, all right? Like flame retardants on furniture. All of these different things are what we breathe in, most of them invisible, 50% of which, though, we know cause cancer. And they haven't even been studied when multiple of them are mixed together. So again, we live in a toxic soup of a world. What do? We simply try to support our health on a daily basis. We'll talk about how to help that 6 simple foods we're going to talk about in supporting the liver and getting that bile flowing, basically thinning out the bile. So the interesting thing is this, the bile, when the liver is breaking down all these toxins, again, the liver right here is filtering all the blood in your body without you ever thinking about it. Does that? It literally filters all the blood in your human body every 6 minutes. That's all that it takes. All the quarts of blood flow through the liver. The liver does its best to pass and grab as many of those toxins as possible through what's called phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox. I'm going to link up what a functional medicine detox is and a liver detox at 2244. So if you haven't heard about that, free course, free podcast, all sorts of more information. Okay, so the liver grabs onto those toxins and then it essentially mixes them in the bile, and the bile then moves into the intestines to be removed through your body as long as you're not constipated through normal bowel movements. But the bile also does a second thing. So the second thing it's responsible for is essentially breaking down fats in your food as it moves into your intestines into fatty acids. So basically smaller particles that are much more absorbable through your single cell intestinal membrane, right? So as it moves through the small intestine right here, we've got about 21 feet or so of small intestine, it can be absorbed through. Okay. And then eventually the waste moves to the large intestine and right out of the body. So what we want to do is we want to help ourselves improve overall digestion and remove toxins from the body. Now, every quarter, every 12 weeks, it is recommended to do a functional medicine detox. If you don't know what that is, you can find details at stephencabral.com/detox. I highly recommend looking into it. But you don't do that every day, right? You do it every 12 weeks, just like they talked about in Ayurvedic times, traditional Chinese medicine, every form of natural health, except conventional medicine, which of course is not natural health, always recommended some type of seasonal detox. Always. It was just imperative because they knew how important it was for the body, even before 140,000 man-made cancer-causing chemicals. So, on a daily basis, though, we need to support our liver and we need to support normal bile flow. So we're not going to be talking about nutritional supplements today. We're going to be talking about 6 simple foods. I would love you to choose 3, just 3, if you can do that, and eat these on essentially a near daily basis. They're going to be so much simpler than you think. And the first 2, I think you're really going to like. So let's get into this. So our job is to thin the bile in the liver so that it can flow into the intestines much more easily. So then you have less poor digestion of fats, okay? And you also are removing the toxins from your body at a faster rate. All right, so the first 2, like I said, a little bit more fun. You might be doing them anyways. So the first one is this. It is coffee, but not just any coffee. The goal for you, and again, I did a Instagram post on this as well. So again, if you're not following on Instagram, definitely check it out over at Stephen Cabral. I try to do quick tips on Instagram. And the first one is, you don't need to be using caffeinated coffee. You can use decaf. And then the question is, well, there's so many chemicals with coffee. I totally understand. But if you get organic coffee and you get one that's tested for mold, and you also get one that is Swiss water processed for decaf, you can drink decaffeinated coffee if you choose to. Now, some people like caffeinated coffee, and if it doesn't spike cortisol levels and it doesn't spike your blood sugar or your blood pressure, there's really not an issue. There honestly is. You just don't go above the 150, 200 milligrams, 200 milligrams to 300 milligrams is max per day. Then it's fine for most people. And it actually shows that there's beneficial effect. Now, if you're someone that gets more anxiety or increased blood sugar or increased cortisol or lowers your thyroid or increases stress, well, you shouldn't be drinking caffeine, right? That's why there's this thing called bioindividuality, right? But if we're talking about coffee beans, because it is a natural food, if we think about that as something that we were given from nature, we know that the actual particulates in coffee, and I don't want to get too deep today. I've done many podcasts on coffee, but the chlorogenic acids and many of the other phytonutrients in coffee can actually help thin bile secretions. It can improve stomach acid production, and it can begin to thin those bile secretions. all of this is actually beneficial. It's been shown to help improve detoxification. Now, the strange thing is caffeine actually needs to be detoxified from the liver too. So there's kind of like, you may get more brain benefits for some people from the caffeine, but you're going to get maybe more detox benefits from even doing decaf coffee. So I'm not against that. Again, coffee for most Americans, and hopefully you checked out my podcast on, let's see this. It was called, Is This Why Most People Are Unwell and Unhappy? 2217. If you haven't checked out that show, I would definitely check it out. But after listening to this show, you'll begin to understand why the majority of people get the majority of their antioxidants on a daily basis from coffee. Coffee's loaded with antioxidants. Now, I hope that that's not the number one place you get it from, but for most Americans, it still is. All right. Now, let's say you don't want to do coffee. Totally fine with me. You don't have to do all 6 of these on the list. The second one would be dandelion root or dandelion coffee. They actually make a coffee from dandelion. So it's basically dandelion, chicory root extracts, and it's been shown as a digestive bitter to improve digestion, improve bile flow, help even with a lot of people with nausea. So this is one that I'm going to link up. I believe it's at stevencabral.com/resources. That's where my coffee resources are. That is where I believe the dandelion blend coffee is. So you'll be able to find both of those there. But very gentle digestive bitter. You could have it instead of your coffee in the morning, or you could even have it post-meal, as long as it doesn't cause you any bloating from some of the prebiotics in there. But when you strain it, of course, the dandelion root's not left in there, and it's just the liquid, should be totally fine for most people. One just little side note I have to go back to, whenever I talk about coffee, if you are drinking coffee in the morning, I do recommend it after breakfast, not on an empty stomach, where it will stimulate your nervous system to a far greater degree. All right, just wanted to put a little side in there. So my third recommendation, because the first 2 were easy. Most people are drinking some warm beverage in the morning, or maybe it's a cold beverage, but either will work. Warm's going to work better. All right, so the third recommendation is beets. Many people have heard of beets, right? Beets, those, well, it could be yellow rainbow type beets, but really it's red beets is what you want. So I think the yellow are delicious. They really are. They're less potent tasting than the red, but the red is really where a lot of the benefit is. So if you're looking to improve overall bile flow and detoxification, you definitely want the beets. Now, if you're juicing beets, believe it or not, you can just peel the beet and juice it raw and whole just as it is. One large red beet is going to do it. That's really all you need. You could do more, no more than 2, but you could do more if you chose to. 1 is good enough. It really is. And you can also, as long as the beet tops, the leaves have been washed, you can actually juice those as well. You're not going to get a whole lot of juice from them, but those are even more potent in terms of the bitterness and the bile digestive aids. However, the beets also serve multiple purposes, meaning like the beet root itself, the red flesh, it helps with nitric oxide production. It helps with hemoglobin and so much more. So beets are very, very powerful. Instead of doing them as a juice, I actually enjoy eating beets a couple times a week. I probably only have them twice a week, but again, you don't need to do any of these things on a daily basis, and probably better to rotate your foods in general. But it's absolutely a powerful antioxidant, a liver congestive aid, improves overall glutathione, improves oxygenation, and so much more. So red beets they are a true superfood, and I would definitely look to include those in your diet. All right, one of my favorites that I do, I would say 6 out of 7 days a week, is an apple. All right. So you can honestly choose whatever type of apple you'd like. I'd like it to be organic. I do not recommend sprayed apples. I could get into what are some of the more hybridized forms of apples, what are less hybridized. But honestly, if you're starting out at least with eating an apple, we're doing all right, right? So why are apples so potent? I've been talking about apples for many, many years. Well, apples improve overall digestion. They contain quercetin. You've heard my podcast on quercetin. If not, I will link that up today as well. But apples contain malate. So malic acid has been known since 6,000 plus years ago when they used to juice apples or have people eat apples to get the liver bile flowing. So apples contain malic acid, really great for thinning bile secretion. If you've heard about the Ayurvedic liver cleanse. It's different than a liver detox, right? It just is moving the bile and bile stones potentially. I'll talk about that. I've talked about that, and I will link it up as well. That's the amazing liver and gallbladder cleanse. Andrea Moritz wrote about it from the Ayurvedic-based perspective, and I created a one-page cheat sheet on it as well. All right. So my 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one is arugula. So arugula it's not my favorite. I'm not gonna lie to you. Arugula is not my favorite type of lettuce or salad or whatever it is. It's very bitter, right? It's bitter, but as they say in Ayurveda, as Vasant Lad told my mentor, Dr. Pete told me, bitter is better whenever it comes to liver detoxification. So has a little bit of a peppery flavor too, which that part I kind of like. I like that little peppery bitter flavor, but only when I mix it with some other type of food. So let's say I'm having some rice with a meal. I'll put some arugula there, and then I'll add a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of Himalayan sea salt, a little bit of cracked pepper, and then I kind of mix it a little bit together and I eat it like that, and that tastes great. Now, the nice thing about arugula is you don't need to eat a bowl of it. You don't. Like a handful of arugula is going to be great. So I have a handful of arugula probably 3 times a week. And so that will help stimulate bile production as well. You can add it to chili. Feel like a little pungent taste, it can be cooked down. You can add it to soups, nothing wrong with that. I use it as a little garnish on the side of a meal. Very, very easy to do. All right, one of my perennial favorites is ginger. And again, hopefully you've heard about that by now. Having a cup of ginger tea after lunch or after dinner, if one of those are one of your larger meals of the day, not only is it phenomenal as a digestive aid, it might be the very best digestive aid out there. It can help with nausea. It can help with feeling like you're overly bloated. It's a great digestive aid. One of the best out there without a doubt. So we use ginger quite a bit in our practice. It helps relax the bowels in general, so good for overall cramping or constipation or, as I said before, bloating, but it's also excellent for the liver. It actually helps with liver detoxification, kidney detoxification, and it helps get that bile flowing. One of the ones that you may even add with some ginger tea is just 1 tablespoon in your ginger tea of apple cider vinegar. So that's kind of a bonus one here today. The apple cider vinegar, I just recommend Bragg's, will help with that as well. Just keep in mind though, a ginger apple cider vinegar mix, if you have histamine issues, may exacerbate your histamine issues. So you may or may not want to add that one quite yet. All right. The last one of the day is going to be artichokes. So artichokes, sunchokes, which are Jerusalem artichokes, all of these can be fantastic, and they have been used for thousands of years to improve the overall bile production. And they also act as a prebiotic. So that's the only thing I would caution you on. So the chicory root that I talked about earlier, the inulin, right? Or the artichokes, artichoke hearts, artichokes, Jerusalem artichokes, the sunchokes, all of these we want to keep in mind. They will feed the bacteria in your gut. So that's a good thing if your bacteria is balanced. But if you're currently on the CBO protocol, or you have Candida overgrowth or SIBO right now, you'll want to wait on those, okay? So you want to do one of the others until you rebalance the gut, and then you can add in some of these artichokes a couple times a week. So this has worked so well for people in our private practice, for everyone that we've recommended it to, and I wanted to share it with you as well. Super simple, super straightforward, easy to do. Just on a daily basis, you want to pick a couple of these. So you've got your coffee or your dandelion root tea or coffee, because it acts like a non-coffee coffee. You've got your red beets. You've got your apples, arugula, ginger. Add a little apple cider vinegar if you'd like, as well as your artichokes. All of these can be used super simple on a near daily basis in order to continue to help your liver get rid of those toxins and also break down your fats to a much better degree. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, as always, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.